So in this video we are going to start what Muller's method. In this method they have asked us to find the root of the equation, and the equation is given over here. Okay, and with the guesses the values will be given in the question itself. This we have to consider x0, x1 and x2. So we will first write. So three values will be given in the question. So what is the given data? X0 we are going to consider it as what, 4.5. Okay, x1 which is considered in the respectively they said, so that order itself you have to consider. Okay, don't change the order. First one is 4.5, second one is 5.5, and third one is what, x2 we are considering it as 5. And the question is given f of x is equal to x square minus 13x minus 12. So I'll tell you the stepwise how we have to do. So Muller's method starts with the first step of finding out f of x0, which is basically to substitute the x0 value in the particular equation. So in this equation substitute x0 value. So first equation I am just writing. So x square is there, so you have to substitute 4.5 square minus 13 into 4.5, okay, minus 12, which will give you the answer as 20.625. So this is f of x0. Like that you have to substitute for f of x1. So 5.5 I am going to substitute, it will give you the answer as 82.875. So I am not writing everything, all the steps. Now f of x2 also you have to find out, f of x2, which will be 5 you have to substitute in the equation. The answer will be 48. Okay, so three things are done. This is basically the step 1. You have to find out that. Let us go for step 2. Now we have to find out h0 and h1. What is h0? x1 minus x0. h1 is x2 minus x1. Simple. So what is x1 minus x0? Here x1 is sitting minus x0, which is equal to 5.5 minus 4.5, which is equal to 1. And here it will be x2 minus x1. So 5 minus 5.5. So it is 5 minus, right? It is minus 0.5. So here we have got both the things. This is step number 2. Okay. So 1 and 2 done. Let us go for step number 3. Now let us go for step 3. Step 3 you have to find out delta naught and delta 1. Two things you have to find. Okay. So what is delta naught formula? Very simple formula. F of x1 minus f of x0 divided by x1 minus x0. Okay. Now what is delta 1 formula? F of x2 minus f of x1 whole divided by x2 minus x1. So very simple formula here we are having. Okay, x1 minus x0, x2 minus x1. Simple formula. Now denominator part, if you observe, it is same as h0. So if you want this, you can replace with h0 itself. Okay, so I am going to write that one. So what is f of x1? We calculated already. It is 82.875 minus f of x0 value is 20.625 whole divided by x1 minus x0 is same as h0, that is 1. So what is the answer of this? 62.25. Okay. Next delta 1 will calculate. So f of x2 value is 48 minus f of x1 is 82.875 whole divided by x2 minus x1, which is same as what, delta h1, which is minus 0.5. So when you do the calculation, you will be getting 69.75. So we got delta naught and delta 1. This is step number 3. Done. Now in this particular question, they have not mentioned any number of iterations. Okay. So this is the first iteration we are doing. In this question, I will be doing at least the 3 iterations. Okay, to make you understand how we are taking for second iteration, how we are doing for third iteration, why we are going for third iteration and all, I will tell you. Okay. This is the first iteration you have to understand. So I'll just write over here. This is the first iteration we are doing. In first iteration, these are the values. Remember, okay. Step number 3 is done. Let us go for step number 4. Here we have to find out A, B, C values. Okay. So A value, B value and C value. Now what is A value? A value is delta 1 whatever we found out minus delta naught divided by H1 plus H0. Okay. So what is delta 1 value? Delta 1 value we already have 69.75 minus delta 1 value 62.25 divided by H1 and H2 value. We already have 1 and minus 0.5. So 1 plus or minus, it is minus 0.5. Okay. Plus minus. Okay. This is here it is plus. So plus minus becomes minus. So what will be the answer of A? You will be getting the answer as 15. Now we have to find B value. It is A into H1 plus delta 1. That means after finding A only we can find B. So A value is 15 into what is H1 value? H1 value we are having minus 0.5 plus delta 1 value is 69.75. So you will be getting this answer as 62.25. Next, C value is f of x2. What is f of x2? We already found out, which is 48. So directly C value you can write. There is no any formula. Directly f of x2. Whatever value is there, that you have to write. So this procedure has been done. So ABC value calculation will be step number 4. Simple. And one last step is there to find out the root. That is the step number 5. Very simple step. What you have to understand here, we can name it as x3, which is the new value, or you can name it, if you have confusion, you can name it as x new. The new x value we are going to find out. That will be the root, which is equal to, simple formula is there, x2 minus 2c divided by b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac. It is similar to quadratic equation formula, right? Quadratic formula. Now here what you have to understand, here plus minus is there. Now this plus minus depends upon the b sign. So we can see the b value, it is here 62.25, which is positive. So here we have to consider the sign as positive. If it is negative, so it depends on b. So just to note it down, it depends on b. If it is positive, you have to consider positive. If it is negative, you have to consider negative. That's it. So here you can observe that the value here of b is positive, so I am going to consider it as positive. Okay. So let us proceed now. So I have to write the x3, which is a new value. What is x2 value? We already found out. It is already given in the question itself, which is 5, right? So x2 value is 5 minus 2c. 2 into c. C value is how much? 48 divided by, okay, b value. B value we got it as 62.25 plus square root of b square, which is 62.25 square minus 4 into what is a value? 15, c value 48. Okay, done. Okay, this is 5 minus separately. This part is separate. Okay, 5 minus this thing. So when you do 5 minus 2 into 48, this thing, you will be getting the answer as 3.975. This is the new value we have got. Okay. Now the thing is that this is the first iteration value. We have to find out the absolute error also. The error shouldn't be more. It should be less. It should be less than 5%. We can say less than 2% or something like that. So here let us find out the absolute error. So this is the fifth step. Okay, this, you can just note it down. We have got the value. So just note it down. This is the fifth step, where we have got the root of the equation, which is 3.975. But this is the first iteration we have done. So first iteration contains only 5 steps. The thing is that going for the second iteration, why we have to go for the second iteration? Because we are going to find out, either it will be given in the question, you have to do 2 iterations. If it is not given in the question, then we are going to find out the error, which is called as what? Absolute error. So epsilon a error we are going to find out. The simple formula is, what are the value x3 we have got? Minus x2 divided by x3, the modulus of that into absolute value of that into 100%. Simple formula. Okay. So what is x3 value? 3.975 minus What is x2 value? X2 is the last value which we are taking, this value, which is 5. 5 divided by 3.975, okay, into 100%. So what is the value we are getting? The percentage we are getting it as 25.78%. Now it is quite large because the error value you can see it is quite large. Okay, so that's why we are going for the second. This is basically absolute error. Okay, absolute error. Second iteration. So if they simply ask you to do 2 iteration, no need to find out the error and all. Directly after this 5th step, you can go for second iteration. Now the thing is that in second iteration, what values you will be taking? That is a question, right? So here we have taken the first iteration value x0, x1, x2, the whatever the value is given in the question. For the second iteration, what we are going to do? Let us try to understand that. So here it finishes the first iteration. Let us go for second iteration. Second iteration, carefully you have to understand here. The values will be the x0, x2 will replace with x3. That means whatever the x0 value is there, this will be gone. It will go, this value will be gone. X0 value will be gone. X1 will take place the x0 value. X2 will take place the x1 value. It is just left, you have to shift it. And what about x2? In place of x2, the x3 value which we calculated, that is basically using this formula we calculated here, 3.975, it will come in that place. So I'll just, for a simplification purpose, I'll just write here first. Now here, this was the first iteration value. So what I said, this you have to replace. So this will be gone. So in place of this, who will come? X1 will come, 5.5. Now in place of x1, who will come? X2 will come, that is 5. In place of x2, who will come? X3 will come, that is nothing but the calculated value, 3.975. This will be the values for the second iteration, that you have to understand. Now we have to follow the same step, starting with step 1, step 2, step 3, by seeing the x0, x1, x2 value. What was the step 1? Finding out f of x1, f of x2, f of x0, everything. So same steps you have to follow. Starting with f of x0. So equation basically was, I'll just write over here, f of x, what was the equation? It was basically x cube minus 13x minus 12. So this was the equation, okay? So in this equation you have to substitute f of x0. Now x0 has changed, it is 5.5, but anyways previously also it was x1. So whatever f of x1 was there, here you can observe, whatever f of x1 was there, that will come in place of f of x0, just shifting, right? Anyways, you can put in the calculator and verify. 82.875 f of x1, in place of x, 5 you substitute, 48. Now f of x2 is a new thing, you have to substitute 3.975. You will be getting the answer as minus 0.833. This is the answer you get. Okay. This is nothing but step number 1. Let us go for step number 2, finding out h0 and h1. h0 is x1 minus x0. h1 is x2 minus x1. x1 minus x0, 5 minus 5.5, which is minus 0.5, and x2 is 3.975 minus x1 is 5, so we will be getting minus 1.024. Done. Now this is step number 2. Now step number 3 was to find out delta naught and delta 1. Delta naught, f of x1 minus f of x0 divided by x1 minus x0. So what is f of x1 value? 48 minus 82.875 whole divided by x1 minus x0 is same as h0, okay? It is minus 0.5. So answer you are getting it as 69.75. Delta 1, f of x2 minus f of x1 whole divided by x2 minus x1 What is the value? Minus 0.833 minus 48 whole divided by x2 minus x1 is minus 1.2024, which is equal to delta 1 value. We are getting it as 47.688. This is the answer we are getting. This is step number 3. We'll go for step number 4, finding out ABC. What is A value here? Delta 1 minus delta naught divided by h1 plus h0. Okay, so what is the value we are getting? 47.688 minus 69.75 whole divided by h1 plus h2 value is minus 0.5 plus minus 1.024. Directly you can write minus 1.024. So what is the answer you are getting for A? 14.476. Okay. B value we will calculate. A into h1 plus delta 1. A value is 14.476 into h1 value will be minus 1.024 plus delta 1 value 47.688. So B value is 32.864. Okay. Now C value directly, which is f of x2, which we already have. What is the value? Minus 0.833. Now ABC finding out, which was step number 4. You can just write it over here, step number 4. Now last step, finding out the root. Step number 5 is basically x3, which is, we can name it as x mu also, mu value, root value. X2 minus simple formula 2c divided by b. Now plus or minus is there here. Since b value is plus, I am going to take plus. If it is minus, take minus. B square minus 4ac, right? So substituting all the values, so x3 becomes, what is x2 value? X2 is the what was the value? X2 we have to take 3.975 minus 2c. 2 into c value is minus 0.833 divided by b value is 32.864 plus square root of 32.864 square minus 4 into a value is 14.476 into c. C is minus 0.833. Okay, which is under square root. Okay, fine. So when you substitute the values, you will be getting x3, which is a new value. It is equal to 4.0010. We are getting 4.0010. This is the new value. This you are considered as what? Root. So this is the second iteration completed, right? If they ask you second iteration, just do till here. This is the fifth step we have done. Okay. This particular step is fifth step, which is the completion of the second iteration. Now, if you want to go for third iteration, why we have to go for third iteration? As I said, here also, I calculated one more. After step 5, I calculated one more step. I calculated this part, which is absolute error, right? Epsilon A I calculated. Why I calculated? To find out the error. Here it was 25.78%, which is quite more. You have to reduce the error. Okay. So here the x2 value is what? 3.975. Always remember, with respect to the last value we are calculating. Don't get confused. So whatever the error, you can see the formula itself. With the last value, with respect to last value we are calculating, because that is going to replace it, right? Here the epsilon A, this is the absolute error. We are going to calculate again. X3 minus x2 divided by x3 into 100. Okay. Now what is x3 value, which we have got now? 4.0010 minus x2 value. X2 value is this one, right? 3.975 whole divided by 4.0010 into 100%. So what is the absolute A value we are getting in percentage? It is 0.649%. It is 0.649%. It's not 64%. Okay. I have multiplied with 100. I am getting 0.649%. That means from 25%, it is been reduced to 0.64%, which is actually good, right? If you go for next iteration, again it will reduce. The error will be reduced. Next approximation you can go for next iteration. Okay, we'll do the next iteration also. So in this video only I'm doing 3 iterations. Now in third iteration what happens? This is the value we have got. This is the root we can stay. So if we stop here, this is the answer. Okay, remember whatever x3 value you are getting, that is the answer. If you are going for the next iteration, you have to just to justify that why you are going, because the error is quite more. No, it is not that more, but still if you go for next iteration, it will be less, it will reduce, the error will reduce. Okay, here what was the second iteration values? We have to focus on now second iteration. Second iteration values we can observe 5.5, 5, 3.975. So as I said, for the third iteration, what will happen? This x0 value will be gone. In place of x0, who will come? X1 will come. That means here 5 will come. Next, in place of x1, who will come? X2 will come. That is 3.975. Okay. Now x2 will be gone. Who will come in place of x2? X3, that particular new value, 4.0010 will come. Simple. This is for the values for third iteration. Same step you have to follow. We'll start with first step. You have to find out f of x0. So what is f of x value? X cube minus 13x minus 12. So f of x0 becomes, in place of x, substitute 5, it will be 48. F of x1, 3.975 you have to substitute, minus 0.833. F of x2, substitute 4.0010, it is 0.035 plus. Okay, plus. Okay, this is the first step we calculated. Okay, step 1. Step 2, we have to calculate h1 value, which is x1 minus x0, 3.975 minus 5 minus 1.024. h2, sorry, I made a mistake, it is x0. x1 value will be x2 minus x1, 4.0010 minus 3.975, we'll be getting it as 0.025. Okay, now this is step number 2. We'll go for step number 3, which is to find out delta naught and delta 1. Delta naught becomes f of x1 minus f of x0 divided by x1 minus x0. So f of x1 and x2 you substitute. So step 4 also done. Okay, step 5 is the last step, which is to find out x3 value, or we can say it as x new value, x2 minus 2c divided by b plus or minus, right, plus or minus. Here b value is positive, so I have to take plus, square root of b square minus 4ac. Only sign you have to understand here, plus or minus. Okay, it depends on b positive or negative. Now here we are going to substitute. So x3 value becomes, what is x2 value? X2 value is nothing but is the last value, 4.0010, 2 into c. Now if you see the error, what happens? Let us calculate error also. This is the root. Okay, x3 minus x2 divided by x3 into 100%. So x3 value is 4 minus x2 value is 4 point, this value 4.0010 divided by 4. We are getting this answer as 0.02%. It is not 2%. I have multiplied with 100 also, into 100. Okay, into 100%. It is 0.02% we are getting, which is very, very less, right? So that means you have to understand that if you keep on doing the iterations, the error will be reduced. So you arrive at, so actually what was the value starting? Starting, if you observe the value, they gave us the x2 value. Let us focus on that. X2 value as 5. After first iteration, x2 value has been changed to 3.975. Then 3.975 is changed to 4.0010. Then we finally arrived at 4. Okay. So this is the root what we are getting. So another thing is that iteration, it depends on the question. If they say 2 iteration, do 2 iteration. Maybe possibility is that you have to do the error part also. That's why I've done error part also to make you understand that you have to do error part if you are going further for the iteration. Why we are going for further iteration? Because error is quite more. That's why. Okay. So I hope you understood what is the procedure. Only 5 steps. Just remember that. And one last is error step.